Deborah,
Kevin.
you and I have a problem, and it comes in the form of saltwater taffy.
Oh, no, seriously.
You and I, we are, and this is the problem with the things that we do. It just grows and grows and grows. We've talked about our Diet Coke car talks, right?
Yeah.
And our Diet Coke car conversations, I should say, take us all around Reno, all through
Right.
Sparks, down into the Washoe Valley. And one day it took us to the Chocolate Nugget, which is just a little boutique-y,
Log cabin-y.
yeah, like rural Nevada place
rustic.
where you can buy sweets.
Confectionery.
Totally.
Yeah.
And they make their own fudges, they make their own caramels, caramel apples, whatever you want there.
Ice cream.
Everybody's been to a place like this in their
Every
town.
candy in the world.
They have a massive selection of saltwater taffy.
They do.
And we purchased on 2 separate occasions about a pound each, like cumulatively.
Accumulatively. We always bring some home for Dad.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was $10.
Well, because it was $9.99 a pound.
Right. $10.
Yeah.
You found saltwater taffy
The same.
that is literally the exact same at Winco for how much a pound?
99 cents a pound.
That's less than $9.99 a pound, right?
You can just take off the $9.
So we have a lot of saltwater taffy in this house right now.
It's bad.
It's so bad, but it's so good because you're like, well, it's just a piece of candy.
But it's never a piece
But it's like,
of candy.
but then it's just like 2 pieces of candy. That's all it is.
And then it's 4.
All I had yesterday was 8 pieces of candy.
So
What are we going to do with this?
I don't know, because when I saw it, it doesn't look like a permanent display. You've seen it. It's
At
like
Winco, it does look temporary.
like it's a cardboard display.
I think it might be up too because they do the bulk barrels there,
right.
and they've decommissioned those because of COVID.
Right.
So this is a version of those bulk barrels, but they can do it because they're all individually wrapped, so there's not like grubby hands on
Right,
it and nobody's
right.
sneezing on them. But they're there, and they're right near the produce. So we
we see it
every time we go to Winco, we go get produce. And it's like, oh, we're done with produce. There's a saltwater taffy. Yeah. And you asked me the other day, do you want some? And I said, yeah, obviously I want some. And then you brought back so much, which I was obviously super duper happy about. But I eat it every single day.
So this is what you need to know and not feel bad. Okay.
Okay.
Now, some people might call this rationalization. I'm just going to call it like a perspective.
Okay.
All right. So I brought back a huge bag for us because we like the same flavors.
True.
Dad is a licorice hound.
Very much
I
so.
mean, anything licorice, he likes that salty licorice. I mean, black licorice, not red. And so I always bring Dad a whole giant bag, equal to our giant bag, of licorice and banana, because he loves those 2 flavors.
Yes, ma'am.
So you just need to know we have a lot left.
Oh, we have a ton left.
Dad's is all gone.
Well, right. He's a full-blown sugar addict. There's that's never been in question.
Yeah.
You and
I'm just trying to make you feel better about your consumption.
You and I are rational heroin addicts. we literally ration the drug out to maximize our time with it.
We think we are present with our addiction, right?
Dad knows that it's $1 a pound, so Dad's just going full bore on his addiction. It's actually an issue that we talked about today in the kitchen. We're like, we need to cut back. This is too much. I think we started chewing on it within 5 minutes after having that conversation. But like we said, we got to get back to being right.
Well, what I do now, I'm not saying that I'm not going to say that I've never taken a piece out of the bag by myself, right? I mean, I certainly have.
Don't blame this on me.
But
I see where this is coming.
Mostly,
I see exactly what's happening.
I wait for you to go get a piece, because when you go get a piece, if I'm there, you bring me a piece.
And what do I bring you? What's your favorite kind?
Oh, watermelon is the best.
And the cool part is it looks like watermelon.
It looks like a little watermelon, but it really, it's super tart. It's super tart. That's why I like it. And I think it's identifiable, as what it is.
That's fair.
But I'm not going to feel bad about myself. Well, for a lot of reasons, but mainly because Daddy is consuming 10 times as much and twice as fast.
Sure. As long as there's somebody who's worse than you, then you can't.
Exactly.
Then it's okay.
Yeah.
And seeing the way he consumes it definitely makes me feel better about my 2 to 10 pieces I eat a day, depending on how gross I feel about myself.
Right.
but I like the huckleberry.
Huckleberry is super good.
And is it the blue raspberry?
Blue raspberry is very good.
I like that blue raspberry because it almost tastes like cotton candy.
We tend to lean into things that have a little tart in them. But I will say, I don't know that I meant to put these in, so it could have just been in the wrong, bin when I grabbed something else. Did you get one? Did you get one of the ones that kind of tastes like a creamsicle this time?
Orange. So
Orange
that's
with the vanilla
one
in the middle, though.
That's the one I got last time. So when we combine the bags, it's an orange creamsicle.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm just always happy that we're honest with our listening audience that we are in the throes of addiction and we are, what's the thing? We are codependent on that. We rely on you. I rely on you to go get it.
For sure.
You rely on me to bring it to you in the house.
Disperse it to me.
It's really bad.
Out.
Yeah.
I think that's what addicts do. They dole it out to each other. So do you know what WINCO stands for?
I do.
Say it.
It's the abbreviation for every state in which the grocery store occupies: Washington, Idaho, Nevada, California, and Oregon.
So, to all of our friends in all of those states, go to WINCO. The 99-cent taffy is amazing, right?
Sure is. Let's start the podcast.
Welcome to the Deb and Kev podcast. One is a Harvard Business School alum. The other is her son, discussing business, pop culture, family, and everything in between. Now, here are your hosts, Deb and Kev.
Hey, hi, hello, and welcome to the Deb and Kev podcast. Across from me is one of the hosts who's also a mom. That's Deb.
I'm Deb.
Me, I'm one of the other hosts, and I happen to be her son. That's me. I'm Kev, and this is our podcast. We actually both received some pretty good health news this week. We've alluded to your issues with your feet before, and you finally have a
surgery date. I've had a problem with one foot for 3 years.
Right.
And we knew it needed surgery.
Right.
But I travel, I was in the air with American Airlines something like 200 hours last year. I mean, that is a lot, around the globe like 3 times. And I've just never, it's, in order to have the surgery, I have to be like 3 months, 4 months non-weight bearing. So I've just never done it. I've literally keep putting orthopedic boots on and off. Now I'm scheduled to have the surgery. And so hopefully I'll be back on the mend before and can travel shortly into 2021.
What is the biggest thing you're worried about as it relates to that?
I never really worry about, like with the surgery, I don't ever worry about like the cutting. Do you know what I mean? That part. I worry about like the anesthesia. Am I going to die from that?
Right.
They're just going to, or they're not going to put me far enough under.
So you're not necessarily worried about anything with the procedure as it relates to your foot. It's all the things that you don't know.
Like, am I going to throw a blood clot and stroke and be dead?
That'll
be it, right?
Rational.
Yeah. So those are the things that I mostly worry about.
You are going to be non-weight bearing for how long?
Well, he said 4 months, but we'll be talking soon
4
about
months?
what it really is. That's what he said.
I thought it was like you just couldn't be on it for like 8 weeks.
Well,
because I'm talking no load bearing. I mean,
can't put the foot down at all. So I either have to be on crutches, a wheelchair, or a scooter. And we live in a house with stairs.
Your surgery doesn't put us in a weird space because at least we podcast from home.
From the bedroom.
But I have thought, like, how am I going to actually get you downstairs? Because you're horrible on crutches. We have a set of crutches, and she tried to use them the other day. It was like a baby giraffe trying to walk for the very first time. You were so discombobulated. You couldn't.
This is so mean.
You looked at me and you're like, I can't do this. I said, what? Your legs still work? And you said, I can't push off with my leg. I said, well, you're not really supposed to. You're supposed to kind of leverage it. And I think you were trying to use them for 5 minutes, and you maybe made 6 feet. Maybe.
I don't think I made 6 feet.
Which then made me think, oh, this is going to be a way more involved process than we thought.
If worst comes to worst, I'll put that boot on so that I can use the crutches. But once I get downstairs, I think it has to be one of those knee scooters.
Got it. How long do you think it's going to take you to get downstairs?
I was just thinking, why can't I sit down and scoot?
Oh my gosh.
Scoot down on my butt.
If that's something you do, it's getting recorded. I might never share it with anybody, but I'm going to keep that for myself and for the ultimate blackmail. for the rest of my life.
That might be it. But then how do I get back up? How do I get back up? I can't fall. I can't put my foot down.
We'll just put one of those chairs on the side of the stairs that just are remote. You just bzzz. I have had chronic lower back pain for probably the last 5 years. I was traveling to a new city, every 5 to 7 days, sleeping in a brand new Airbnb bed, and being on airplanes, being in Airbnbs, working the jobs that I did. I just think it was some
having ovens fall on you, things like that.
I did have an oven fall on me down the stairs in Chicago, health hazard. But I just think that was the wear and tear of the job. My knees are sore, I'm 6'7". That's just part of the process. My shoulders are sore, I'm 6'7". That's just part of the process of being tall. But the lower back thing was just bizarre. Nothing worked. Finally, the chiropractor last week said, there's nothing that I'm seeing that should indicate that you have this pain. And he said, I think you should try dry needling, which if you don't know what dry needling is, it's acupuncture type thing. Right. They take these really thin needles, they just, place them somewhere on your body to kind of alleviate stress or alleviate that tension. We went to our friend Sabrina,
who's a doctor of physical therapy,
and asked her if she would be so kind as to jab my body with pins. She found the tender spot. She put in 4 pins. They brought in like this heat lamp that it looked like I was going to get a perm, but it was just a heat lamp. They did it for 15 minutes, took the needles out. I feel great. Why the hell have I not heard about dry needling until 7 days ago?
Both Jack and Sabrina have this thing that they do when they look at you, when you're upright.
Yep.
It's kind of like, you're tall. You're a big guy. Like it's bad. I mean, I feel responsible for giving birth to a giant child who grew into a giant man child.
It's my lot in life.
And, they go, a guy like you, as if you are a disability almost with your height.
I mean, there's a lot of things that are a disability for me. My height's not really one of them.
Exactly. You do every exercise that is ever recommended. You are so really diligent about that. Were you confident when you went in there? Or what did you think?
It's not even that I'm pessimistic. You just wait. You don't have any expectation. You hope, you for sure hope that it works, but you're not thinking like this is the thing that's going to do it. And you certainly don't think 4 small needles over the span of 15 minutes is going to cure something that you've been dealing with for the last 5 years.
Right.
And it did.
But we're happy that I'm going under the knife. That sounds crazy.
Crazy, but we are.
And we're happy that your back is better so you can help me slide down the stairs.
Oh my gosh. We might just do that as a video just to have it. Even if you're totally fine, we're just going to
do it before the surgery maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I could do that.
Before, during, after, just to have the video of you sliding down the stairs, I think is a keepsake.
Yeah.
We're not going to spend a lot of time recapping this because if you're watching at home, you know what happens. If you're not watching at home, it's probably not super duper interesting to you. But it was chocolate week. And for the signature challenge, they had to make brownies. And you and I both looked at each other and we were like, Brownies?
Yeah.
And you said right off the bat, I think they just should keep it simple. And I thought, well, there's got to be some complexity to this. This is a cooking show on television after all.
Nope.
And you said, no, just keep it simple. And across the board, what was the note?
The complaint was they made it way too complicated and they ruined the brownies.
Right.
Flamboyant toppings.
Over the top.
Yeah,
like
over the top.
Meringue and caramel or fig and pistachio. If it can be created in a box with an egg and like a third of a cup of oil,
yeah,
this should not be a difficult process. If you were on the Great British Baking Show and all hell broke loose because they let an American on,
would that be heaven?
And you decided to bake brownies, what would you do?
I don't think I would put anything inside because
interesting.
I think that there's a purist element to the brownie.
For sure.
Of incredible chocolate, cooked just right.
Yep. Just done. Just on the side of done. Yep.
Yeah, not cake done. And if they did eat an edge, that there's a little bite to the edge.
That's the other thing.
Yep.
I mean, can we not all agree, you, I, and the listening audience, the best brownies are the corner brownies?
Yeah, the edges.
The middle is trash. I don't want the middle brownie.
the middle,
I want the corners. And if
Yeah.
I can't get the corners, then I want the sides, which is why Sky Mall invented that snake tray.
So everything has a side.
Exactly. Then for the technical challenge, the thing they don't know about, they had to create a traditional Jewish chocolate babka
Yep.
using enriched dough. And it's a really beautiful loaf of bread when done right. It's the chocolate's exposed. It's kind of got this ooey gooiness, but that it holds up because there's a bread in it. And you said, again, you're just on fire. You said, I think this might be Linda's challenge to win. And she just straight up created one of the best loaves of babka.
It was beautiful.
It was gorgeous.
Yeah.
If you're baking something that you have no earthly idea about or have only heard rumor of or have maybe seen but don't remember, how would you adjust to that in the moment?
I don't know because we're not there. You get a little bit of this. But if I really didn't know, the first thing you've got to do is look around and see.
That's what I would do too.
It's a loaf pan. They give you a loaf pan so you know that it's enriched bread. So you know it's bread. So there are hints to how it should be, right?
Yep.
And then when people like Sarah started cutting half of the dough off and not putting it in the pan,
right.
like that was a bad sign.
Right.
You know, when Lottie's dipped up over the sides.
Yeah, she didn't tuck her edges in, which is
when
like...
do you ever let bread loop out?
When does it look like it's supposed to be
edge?
flying?
Flying bread, exactly.
Showstopper, they had to create a 2-tiered white chocolate celebration cake, and they could choose anything to celebrate. It was original to them, and I felt like they
their
took,
own little thing.
Yeah,
whatever
they took some serious liberties with that.
Yeah.
What would your flavors have been, and what would you have celebrated?
Well, first of all, I'm not a white chocolate fan. I told you that.
Yeah.
You know, I just think.
And I am.
Like, what is it? Is it vanilla? It's not chocolate. I mean, what is white chocolate? It's nothing. What is it? Describe it.
Why are you yelling at me? I don't know.
I would have done, I think, a fair standby for a flavor like white chocolate.
Yeah.
I would have done like, I make great lemon curd.
Mm-hmm.
I would have done like a lemon curd raspberry thing.
Oh,
Because I
that's
think
good.
that would have been a big punch with white chocolate.
My first thought was raspberries as well.
Yeah.
Like the fresh fruit, the acidity cutting through that really fattiness of the chocolate would have been
And the
good.
thing that Prue got most excited about was somebody just put tons of lemon in the cake and she lost her mind over
Say
it.
her name. Say the one's name who put it in the cake.
Oh,
You know who I'm talking about.
Hermine put it in the cake.
Nice, Deb. Good
We
job.
finally figured out her name.
Yeah, it's, again, we've talked about this. It looks like Hermione. We had to listen to them say it 12 times
exactly.
to like phonetically understand it as Airmean.
Yeah.
Airmean.
Yeah.
The worst airline in the world, Airmean. Mark L, the Scottishman,
The one we really like.
who has great
smile.
hair, great
Yeah,
beard,
smile.
super jovial. He ended up winning, and he got a little emotional about it, which I
Yeah.
get.
Unexpected for him.
Totally.
Yeah.
And then Sura lost because her showstopper literally was wrong. Deb, your business segment this week is what?
I honestly believe that if a leader were to follow these things, their business would be successful. I am telling you, I think it all starts with these 5 things for your company. So I think they're foundational, not just to the leader and how they lead, but I think they're foundational to the company themselves.
Love it.
The first one is demonstrates strong ethics and provides a sense of safety. And those were 2 of the 3 most highly rated attributes. So high ethical moral standards, which is like you say what you mean and you mean what you say, right? Follow through. And communicating clear expectations. When you talk about, the first one, high moral ethical standards, I think it's like a lot of people would say, oh, I have the highest integrity. I'm not a liar. I'm a truth teller. Those are kind of the obvious things people would say. But I think it also falls into things like if I'm in a meeting with like a C-level group of people and we're launching whatever new campaign it is we're trying to do. If I just say go and there's never any follow-up ever, I don't think that's being that kind of leader that we're talking about you should be. If you don't make sure that you create the opportunity for all of those pieces to come together in a systematic way, then the truth is right there, you're not a person of your word. I said something to somebody recently who I didn't feel was being completely honest with me. And I said, I don't want to call you a liar, but I don't think you're divulging the whole truth to me because you're protecting other interests.
Interesting.
And so I think that happens in leadership as well. I think that you have to be very careful with that, because that is the thing that causes employees to say, I don't trust the leadership of this company. The number 2 thing was empowers others to self-organize. I think giving people clear direction, how you want things. I'm not a manager type person.
Right.
I would probably err on the side of giving you less direction.
Okay.
If I trust you, especially.
Sure.
But I think you want to give clear direction, meaning this is where we're headed.
Yep.
This is our goal. This is what we're doing. But then I think if you have a group that has proven themselves and you trust them, you really do let them self-manage. Being made to feel like you aren't trustworthy or capable or competent.
For sure.
Right?
Yep.
And when you say you've got it, like let me say I've got it.
Yep.
Right? But I think when you empower people, I think what happens when they're free to work the way that they're supposed to work, I think that's when you see better projects.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's when you see great customer service. I think that's when you see a really excellent thing that I want to say is kind of magic, but it's not because it's deliberate, take place.
You used to talk about when we owned our restaurant that when you have the right employees who are trained well, who can take ownership over their duties for the day, it's this beautiful dance. Everybody
Yes.
knows where they're
It's a
supposed
dance,
to
for
be.
sure.
Everybody knows where to fill in the gaps. They know how to support one another non-verbally. They know how to pick up the slack in whatever facet needs to be picked up. And it's usually done with zero communication. And I will never forget that, because that is really hard to get to. But that should be everybody's goal, is that your company, your employees are just working so beautifully. They're so in sync because they've been given the leeway and they've been given the responsibility to take that on themselves.
Goes right to our third thing, which is create a sense of connection and belonging. The connection piece of it is like nobody should go weeks and months without communicating to a direct report. If you're talking about direct reports, people shouldn't go weeks and months and not talk to them.
Agreed.
Because if I'm not talking to you, you're not in my stratosphere.
Right.
Like I'm not thinking about you. And if I'm not thinking about you and you're one of the key people holding the vision for the company, then I'm not thinking about that. You want to create this feeling of succeeding as a pack.
Yep.
Right? So I know that I can do a great job on my component, whatever it is, and I can be individually proud of that. But I also take my component and throw it into the jigsaw puzzle, if you will, or the
Right.
pile, and now I'm part of a team. And I think that sense of belonging is what keeps people at positions much longer, than those that are always out looking for the greener grass. We've recently had a lot of talks about what would you do for money? Like how much?
Pardon me? Well, excuse
No.
me?
Like, would you sell yourself out?
I have said, as it relates to this thing that we do,
Right.
I will sell out in a nanosecond. Meaning, if something comes our way that is willing to pay us and falls within whatever our brand standards are, we're saying yes to it. We're not going to be super critical of what comes our way, especially in the beginning.
Our conversation was,
Oh, God.
if you had to be really miserable in a job, but at the end of 5 years, so some real time was required.
Yeah.
There was a big bundle of money.
Yeah.
Would you be completely miserable for 5 years to get the giant bundle of money?
We said no.
We both said no.
Yeah.
We said no without much hesitation.
Yeah.
Money comes in way down the line is the next thing. As long as I'm making enough and enough to be happy, enough to take care of my bills, I won't go searching for more money if I'm super happy with that group.
Agreed.
And I heard, I forget what podcast, I was listening to a different podcast, and they were talking about a sense of belonging, empowerment to do your job, and the freedom to execute it in the way that you see fit. And those are how you keep people with you, because what they find is purpose and meaning in that community.
Yeah.
The fourth thing was show openness to new ideas. And I think that is super huge, because sometimes in leadership, we think we have all the ideas.
Right.
I think sometimes, especially new people, come up with some ideas that we've actually tried before, right? And so if you've tried it before and it really hasn't worked, you at least owe them that conversation. Like,
Sure.
no, it's not just a bad idea. No, we tried it and this is how it went. But I mean, think about it. If you can reframe it, if you can adjust it, I mean, we'll happily look at it again.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that openness to explore new ideas is huge. I just believe like we're 1 degree or 2 degrees away from everything we want and everything
You like
we need to know.
Wildest dreams. In your wildest dreams, what do you want?
And I have said that to so many people. If I gave you a magic wand, in your wildest dreams, what would you like? And I am telling you, we have gotten there so many times that I'm not even afraid to ask that question anymore. When a company is really open, when they're flexible to change opinions, when whatever their norm is, they're willing to adjust it sometimes, I think that is an extraordinary gift. And then I just think all of those things, what you want to do is foster growth. It's one of the number one reasons I see people leave. I help people hire people a lot. And those same people, they feel kind of attached to me because I was part of their hiring, if you will. A lot of those people, I hear from them a year later, 2 years later, and it's like, I'm in the same job. I've worked my butt off. I've done everything they've said, and there's just no opportunity for growth. And I don't have to they'll often say like a new position with a new title, but I mean, come on, we've got to mix this work up somehow.
Right.
I mean, so they want to personally grow. And I think what we need, the answer isn't as the leader, this is how I think you should grow. The answer is, how do you want to grow?
Yep.
And how can I help you do it?
Yep.
And so I think those 5 things, I mean, if every leader could embrace these kind of elements, just these 5, it would change the world tomorrow. I mean, really, it would change everything.
Put a bow on that for us, Deb. Those were a lot of, I think, phenomenal points to make. So just give us a little summarization on that.
If you have the privilege of being in a position of leadership, take it seriously, look in the mirror, and develop yourself to be the best leader possible. Leadership is not just a job. It's an organic way of life that is supposed to be fluid and grow and have meaning and purpose. And if you can't wrap all of that into it, then you don't belong in a space of leadership.
1 minute hypothetical for you. So let's say we have an owner.
Okay.
And we haven't done this in a while, so remember, it's a 1 minute hypothetical. Deb has 60 seconds to give me an answer to the question that I'm going to ask her, but she has 3 qualifying questions so she can get a little more rounded view of what I'm asking.
And there's no right or wrong. It's just Deb's opinion.
Totally.
Okay.
Can't sue us. You have a client.
Yep.
6 employees. Enjoys the employees. They struggle mightily with the delegation of exactly what we talked about. They come to you and they say, how do I even start this process? What do you tell them?
Am I the leader of the 6 employees?
You're the consultant to the leader of these 6
okay.
employees.
Okay.
The owner of the business is coming to you and saying, like, I know I suck at this. How do I even start this?
Okay. Are the employees currently just, we'll call it flat happy? Is everybody okay in position?
Like with what they're currently doing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. I mean, they all don't have the same fervor to move up in their career, but they're not upset with where they're at.
Great. Is the owner, is it the kind of business where the owner is still working in the business like a lawyer or a doctor or an accountant, or is it mostly a position of leadership, meaning owning relationships, managing financials, meeting with new customers? I mean, what kind of thing is it like that?
The smart ass in me wants to say a hybrid of both, but I'll say that yes, they are present every day for a considerable amount of time, so they certainly have their hands in the happenings.
Okay. I think I might be good.
All right, in 3, 2, and 1.
So what I would say to the owner is, this is a time element. I mean, it's a time and a behavior element. It's a combination.
Mm-hmm.
I would say you must take time out of your busy schedule every day to actually run and manage your business. And of course, they would say yes. I mean, all the ingredients don't get done without time. I would say if you want to change your business to be like this type of business, then you have to schedule time to do it. And then the most important thing I would think to start with would really be to communicate. I mean, make an announcement, have a meeting, and say, these are the things that I want to bring to the business. This is what I think it would look like. And I would like the input of everybody here, because we, the 7 of us, are the beginning and the foundation of what is to come. So I want to be the leader that initiates these things, and I want you to be the employees that benefit from them.
Time. That was literally on time.
Really? Good.
It
Yay.
hit triple
Yay.
zeros when you finished talking. I think that's great. I think the hardest part is getting started, like with anything, like with this podcast, like with your business.
Making time.
The hardest part is getting started. But if you can mentally get yourself to the point where you can verbalize it out loud, not just in your head, out loud to your employees, well, now you can't take that back.
You can't.
Now it's there. And that is the thing that's going to get that ball rolling. You go ahead, Deb, and you take it back.
So I think when I sat down last week, I failed to admit this to myself, is I think I was just overwhelmed by all of this.
It's a lot.
And when I listened back to myself and I came to you and the podcast is out, I said, oh my God, I talked over you constantly. I was like somebody had given me 3 hits of speed.
Yep.
My voice went up 5 octaves.
Uh-huh.
I wanted to lay down and cry. I mean, literally. What I've had to do is, number 1, stop for a hot minute and take a breath, right? You know? And number 2, I've just spent some time in here this week so that this feels ordinary and normal, right? I hope I've slowed it down. I hope I haven't talked over you as much today. I hope it's been better. But I would like to can we delete that podcast?
Nope. It was interesting because it was the first time we were using all of this brand new equipment. So I was certainly excited because it was my hard work come to a realization, right? And I would say within the first 3 minutes of the episode, I was like, oh, she is ramped up. And it's one thing if we're just doing audio, because I can pause it and I can be like, hey, you just need to
calm down,
ratchet it down a little bit. In the moment, I thought, we're 3 minutes into this. We do it over an hour show. This is going to be intense. Yeah. And I will give you credit. You didn't lose any energy the entire podcast. You were ramped in. You were revving in the red.
Yeah. But that isn't conversational. And
it's very aggressive.
It's very aggressive. And what I like between us is the conversation, if you will.
That's fair.
I now have so much respect for people that are in front of cameras all the time and just make it look seamless and effortless, because this thing right here is killing me. It's the intimidation of something looking in on our private, what was our private time? Is that
minus the fact that we put our private time out for everybody to consume?
Everybody to see. And but I don't know what it was. It was, you were clearly so comfortable. And maybe the other part is that you are so comfortable that I'm like, over here.
Well, I mean, I would say this. I did go to school to be in front of a camera, so it's certainly not my first time doing that. It has been a long time since I've done that. I was probably hyped up for 1,000 different reasons than you were. Yours just came across different than mine, but that only took us 1 episode to figure it out, and we're good now. Yeah. You're going to know what my aired out is because we've talked about this already. You are allergic to pushing chairs back. We have 2 sets of bar stools in the kitchen. There's the tall ones that sit on the outside of the kitchen, more towards the living room, but you can see into the kitchen. And then there's the baby bar stools that are a part of our butcher block island that bump up to the oven. More often than not, you come downstairs when I'm eating breakfast and I'm sitting in the big bar stools facing into the kitchen, and you sit on the mini bar stools facing out of the kitchen. That bar stool never goes back in once you're finished. It just sits there. And is it a main thoroughfare? No. But it is a thoroughfare that I use a handful of times a day. And every time I have to shove that bar stool back under. And I looked at you the other day and I just said, hey, this isn't a big thing. And I'm certainly not going to make it a big thing. But can you just be a little conscious of like when you've sat down, can you just push that bar stool back in? I'm just letting you know. This is my air it out. And you said, thank you for telling it to me like how you just did. I'm not conscious of that. I'll be better about it. You have not done it once since we talked about it. Meaning you have not put it back once since we've talked about it.
I think I am actually good with chairs in general. Okay.
So what a sentence. I think I'm actually pretty good with chairs.
With chairs in general. Meaning, if I were to sit down at the dining room table, I would scoot the chair back in.
These are bar stools. This is casual. This is in the kitchen. There's no back to yours.
The big bar stools, I scoot them back in.
No, you don't. No, you don't. What I'm saying is it's a small little thing. I have brought it to you in the most congenial, soft-spoken, nice way possible. You even agreed to it. Nothing has happened. Zero.
So are you saying I'm going to get in trouble?
No, I'm just letting everybody know that Deb's a terrible chair pusher back in.
Terrible bar stool pusher back inner.
Yep, Deb.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what we are thankful for this week. I have a great one. I don't know what yours is going to be, but you're up first.
You go first.
Mine's super easy. Mm. I have two great friends that got married this weekend. And Rob and Bev, I'm not going to say their last name, but Rob and Bev.
They know who they are.
You know exactly who you are. If you got married this weekend and your name is Rob and Bev, then I'm talking about you. And they were supposed to initially have a destination wedding. 2020 hit, and they tried to hold on as long as humanly possible. And it just couldn't happen. Couldn't fly to Cancun, Mexico. Flights were canceled even without us knowing it. Nobody could really guarantee safety. Family members would have had to quarantine on their way home, which would have lost out on, business or lost out on jobs, working for their jobs, which everybody, needs the money right now. And the thing that I adore about these two is they said, we were dealt a really crappy hand as it relates to our wedding, but it's not about traveling to Cancun, and it's not about throwing massive receptions. Marriage is just about me committing myself to you. Mm-hmm. So they pivoted. They had a small little 30-person wedding at a really beautiful venue here in town. Then they invited everybody who was still in town to come hang out with them after the fact, which I don't know that they remember any of us being there because they had a really good time at the wedding. But it was just about them and their love and their ability to share that with everybody else. And it was one of those super duper refreshing moments in 2020 that you'll look back on and say, I know this year didn't feel good, but what a phenomenal silver lining that was, that these two people who love and adore each other didn't delay it for a year, didn't, kick dirt or get mad. They just said, well, we still love each other and we're still going to get married. So that's what we did. During weddings, it's just a whirlwind, right? And they're saying hi to everybody and hugging everybody. I didn't see Bev until about halfway through, but she saw me and she her eyes exploded and she just came, and it was the hardest hug I've ever had. She's like, I love you so much. Thank you for coming. And it was such a sincere, sweet moment that I was like, oh my God, this is my thankful for sure.
This morning I got up. We haven't had smoke in a while, which has been heavenly. And I do want to say to the world, Northern Nevada has the most incredible Septembers and Octobers.
Oh, my God, it's amazing.
I don't think, and I know it's beautiful for all of our friends on the East Coast. I know it's beautiful there, but we have this, the heat lasts a little longer. The cool comes in the morning and at night. We're completely out of air conditioner weather.
Oh, yeah, we put it away.
But we have not moved to heat weather yet. I mean, you're turning on the heat, but almost. This is probably hot for part of the day. But
you got to bring it with you if you know you're going to be away from the house for a while.
Exactly. But good for the morning. The skies are the bluest blue. I mean, it's light breeze. It is just perfect weather. And it feels like we're just in this really happy place.
We had a phenomenal spring. I would say we had a good 2/3 of summer. The last third of summer sucked. And we were just gifted. Out of nowhere, a beautiful fall.
Yeah.
It's been glorious.
Yeah.
That's a really good thankful because I do wake up every day and I'm like, oh my God, finally, this is so nice. What is the best thing you saw on the internet this week?
I found somebody and I want to say her thing right. She's called Play Cheerleader. And I don't know why she's called that.
Is that her account?
Play Cheerleader. Her real name is Tega, Tega, and I hope I do her justice by this, or Horhoro. It's a Nigerian name, Orhorhoro.
We apologize to all of the Nigerians that listen to
All
this
of the
podcast.
Nigerians, I'm sorry. I know I butchered that. That's awful. She is the most positive ray of sunshine in the world. If you go down and search through her Instagram, I'll have you put on the stories the one I love, right?
Okay.
The one that got me kind of started with her.
Yep.
She talks with this beautiful Nigerian accent. And so things might start like, hey, aunties and uncles out there. Do you know what I mean? And she has that unbelievable accent. I think she lives in Detroit from my Insta stalking.
Yep.
And there are Instagrams where there is absolutely no Nigerian accent. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah. So
It kind of comes and goes.
I don't know which it is, but if you have any moment where you don't feel 100% about the world or about yourself, start following her. She is a gem.
Mine's nothing like that. Mine comes from a Wichita news network where an older woman is giving the news.
Older like my age?
I would say even older than you. And she's giving the news about a bomb threat at Home Depot. And she's reading this from the teleprompter. And she says, there was first reports of somebody in the men's restroom saying, I'm about to drop a bomb in here. And that alerted other people. Now, this is where it gets really meta. She's reporting this and she's reading the news, right? So she's just reading it like she normally would. And she goes on to say, and the gentleman said, yeah, I'm going to blow it up in here.
And this hasn't occurred to what's
And
occurring to
she
me?
hasn't yet understood that what she's referencing live on the air is somebody talking about taking a number 2 in the Home Depot bathroom.
God.
But her co-anchor is off to the side, losing his mind. You can finally hear cameramen start laughing. Like you can see her get it. Like you totally understand it. And as somebody who's worked in news, my first thought was the producer, the segment editor, fully knew that he was just going to slide that in, that I forget her name, was just going to read it because she probably didn't even proof it. It's like in the C block or something.
Mindless reading.
And you can see her kind of start to get it over time, and then it just hits her, and then it cuts to the other anchor who's a guy who's just like laughing uncontrollably. You can hear the laughter off camera. It's a perfect news blooper video. Talk about what's for dinner.
So we are lasagna lovers in our household.
Sadly, we are.
And sadly, we're kind of doing keto a little bit right now.
Yep.
When I say a little bit, it's because of the Taffy story.
We're kind of doing keto a little bit right now. Love you, saltwater.
Yeah, because of the Taffy story we told earlier.
But we're always doing gluten-free, which makes lasagna very hard.
And there are gluten-free noodles, but but they're not worth it.
They're not
honestly.
good.
They're not. So I know a lot of people take a zucchini and, do the ribbons and use those as noodles, but we actually do like a chunky kind of meaty slice of zucchini.
Yep.
And we're really religious about putting it in salt and draining cups of water off of it so it's not liquidy. And so we're going to make zucchini lasagna tonight with meat. It's not a vegetarian lasagna. It's just in lieu of the pasta. Yeah.
It's so good.
It's really good.
And it's one of those things where it's really good the first night and it's better the next day.
It's better the next,
It's better the day after that. I really enjoy, and it's hearty. It's like a ton of food. Like when you make it, that tray is jam packed with
heavy.
stuff.
It's heavy. So take a picture before we bake it because it looks good both ways.
Sure.
Okay.
Done and done. I'm excited. Deb, you have anything else for us this week, just in general?
I'm sorry I talked over you so much the last time. I mean, really.
Thank you for that.
I feel bad about
You
that.
should.
Okay.
All right, that's going to do it for us this week. If you don't follow us on any of our social channels, please do. That's Deb and Kev Pod. You can also find us on YouTube where you will see this vlog if you just want to see our pretty faces. Rate, review, tell all your friends, loved ones, we would appreciate all of that. Share us.
Yeah,
share us the way we share ourselves with you.
Yes.
Mom, I love you to death.
I love you, baby.
We will see you all this Thursday.
This Thursday.
I was going to say next week, but we'll see you all
Thursday.
this Thursday. See you guys.
Thank you for listening to the Deb and Kev podcast. Remember to like and subscribe wherever you listen to this podcast. Follow Deb and Kev on Facebook and on Instagram and Twitter at Deb and Kev Pod.